This is the Milo Beasley Show. This is the Milo Beasley Show. There's only one thing you need to know. This is the Milo Beasley Show. And now, here's your host, Milo Beasley.
And welcome to the Milo Beasley Show. Super excited for this week's guest. You've seen her work all over the place, but most notably, very recently on And Just Like That, the sequel to Sex and the City. Please help me welcome at this time, Timmy Woods. How are you doing?
What am I doing? I'm visiting you, of course, on TV. And it's a pleasure being here.
Yeah. So off air, you mentioned you were in Florida. So how are you enjoying this Florida? I mean, well, you're normally from Southern California, so it's not too different, right?
Well, actually, it's a real journey. But as you know, the Sex and the City is a journey throughout the whole world.
Right.
So therefore, it began in California, and from here I go to New York.
To New York. Well, that's going to be that temperature change is going to be quite different.
Well, New York, I will do a show in New York. And aside from that, I love New York.
Yes. It's a great place. So you're doing a show. When is the show? Is it this weekend?
Well, actually, I'm doing a trade show. But it's going to be very interesting because, as you know, trade shows have not really been done for 2 years.
Right.
And it's so nice reaching out to the people again. And I love meeting people. So therefore, it's an ideal place for me to start my next recreation of what my career is going to be about.
Right. Now, when you do these shows, do you get inspiration from the people you talk to, the things you see? Is that where inspiration comes from?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's definitely fun. But, naturally, what it does also, it stimulates how I think about what I'm going to design.
Right.
And so all of a sudden I'm thinking about, I think I should do some bags that are wrapped in metal. Like do combinations of woods and metals and things like that.
Right.
So that's probably where I'm headed next.
That's fantastic. Now, let's start a little bit at the beginning. So when did you determine, that life direction that you were going to become a fashion designer? Is it something you did you have to go to school for that? Take us back to the beginning. So if somebody who is interested in that, sort of life, they get an idea of where to start.
I've been making bags a long time. And I made bags even before I made wood bags. And I think, and what I really want to do is tell how it got started, because I think it's extremely motivational for people.
Right.
I had just had a baby. I was divorced. And I said, okay, I checked back into school and actually the Fashion Institute. And I went, well, I wanted to take a pattern making course. I was in that class for 2 weeks and the teacher looked at me and she goes, why don't you do what you have to do? And I walked out of school that day and I said, I really don't know what I want to do. But I want to do something that I'm not going to have a big inventory. I've got X number of dollars to start, and I knew nothing about leather. And I decided I love leather, and I'm going to start making leather handbags. And from there, I made a Thunderbolt backpack. I made big triangular shaped handbags that would be super fashionable today. I made arm bags that were in the shape of circles. I made some really wonderful things. And then had no idea how to cut them. I cut them with a scissor, found somebody to sew them. And 2 weeks later, I walked into New York and I sold Bloomingdale's, Bendels, and Bergdorf's, and I had a window in Bloomingdale's. And that was really how it initially got started. And as I progressed,
that's incredible.
It was, how sometimes when you're on the right frequency, it just flows. And I knew I could actually feel that frequency. So I just followed it. And now sometimes it goes up and down because of so many things that happen around us. But
So
okay,
did
so
you
how I got
always?
but I can tell you how I got to Patricia Fields. What happened
Okay.
is, is that I have made wooden handbags for many years,
Right.
and I love the Eiffel Tower. I love France. I've been in France so many times in my whole life. My best friend is French, and so I had a store on Robertson. In the window was the Eiffel Tower. Pat was driving past with her associate, and who saw the bag in the window and goes, "Oh my God, look at that. We need that. Stop." And she hung a U-turn, pulled in front of the store, jumped out, walked into the store, and nobody helped her. I was in Japan doing a television show, and I called my office that day, and I go, "Oh, who came in?" And they said, "Patricia Fields came in." I go, "What did she want?" They said, "We were too busy to help her." I go, "What do you mean you were too busy to help Patricia Fields?" I got on the phone, I called her, and I go, "What do you want?" She goes, "I want the Eiffel Tower that's in your window tomorrow in New York by noon." And she had it, I guarantee, by 12 o'clock the next day. And so that was for the first television show, where not the television show, because I'd been on before, for the
Right.
first movie.
Oh,
And that was when, she went to, when Sarah Jessica Parker, who was Carrie, went to
right.
Paris with Mr. Big, and they picked out the apartment.
Right.
And how romantic to go on their honeymoon, and how wonderful for me, because it was just an additional support system for the business. So now, all of a sudden, Airburb calls me and they go, "We're going to use your bag in a closet." I go, "Okay." Because so many people believe it or not, use the bags for decoration in the closet.
Hmm.
And then I go, okay. Then I get a call and I go, "Do you know that your bag is going to be used now in the movie?" But I had no idea that it was going to be used in the last segment. And, pardon me. And, okay, I thought it wasn't going to come out until August. The next thing I know, here it is. It's all over television. What can I say? As you know, Carrie goes to Paris because she's so depressed and she doesn't know what to do with the ashes. And she loves Mr. Big so much that she takes her Eiffel Tower, goes to the bridge on the Seine, and I know all this like the back of my hand, and dumps the ashes into the Seine. And then that becomes the beginning of her new life, and the saying that we have, "And just like that."
Yep.
And that is kind of what life is about. Life is, and just like that. So that's the story about this Eiffel Tower.
That's
And this
that's
Eiffel
that's
Tower,
incredible. Yeah. So
this Eiffel
yeah.
Tower,
So yeah.
yeah,
So
look
this
at it.
scene,
Here
this
she
scene right
is
here, this is that
in that
bag,
picture. You see
obviously,
her, the original scene in her green dress. And then you see our picture, and then you see Carrie in her very
right.
chic Valentino. And she looks beautiful. So I could not be
Absolutely. So
more
yeah, so
pleased.
there's the original, and then
Yes.
the last scene.
Well, actually,
I
the
mean,
one that she's
incredible
carrying
story.
is not
So you didn't know. So what was that?
the one that she's carrying in that film, in the new
Uh-huh.
picture, is not the
Right.
original one. What happened to the original Eiffel Tower?
Uh-huh.
It was auctioned off for charity for homeless women and brought $59,000. And
That's
I
incredible.
thought that was just really phenomenal.
So then they had to call you to get another one for this last
Well, actually,
for the sequel?
I I'm really, I never asked that question. I'm really not sure, because I know that some of the staff have some of the Eiffel Towers,
Oh,
so they may have just go. "Pfft." But I know that the
oh,
writers that the writers really decided that that was
that
how they were going to write the last scene. You
I
know,
mean, and what a scene it is. Did you ever think that your bag would be used as an urn? As well, I don't want to say final resting place because it wasn't, but as something like an urn. Did you ever think that your bag would serve that purpose?
well, I'll tell you, I was extremely happy that it got auctioned off for charity and brought that money. And if people ask me what one of my proudest moments would be, I would say the fact that one of my designs could help somebody else. Because for me, that's very important. And what we're doing with this particular Eiffel Tower is it's going to go to the PAD project. And the PAD project is all about women. And my niece is one of the people who created the PAD project. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens on this with this particular one.
Absolutely. I definitely looking forward to, following on the socials to see exactly what happens with it. Now, back to, the movie. So they told you it was going to be used, but they didn't tell you how it was going to be used?
Correct. They never said it.
So,
And so
and then,
it was really, what can I say? It's a pleasant surprise.
now, when it was used the first time around on Sex and the City on the TV show, did sales for that particular bag? I'm guessing that they just boomed.
Well, I can say this. The first time it was used,
Right.
I ended up going to Germany to show the Eiffel Tower, and then it's also in the museum in Amsterdam, and it's on the cover. Oh, this is fantastic! There was this. This is the 100-year anniversary of the Eiffel Tower, and so there was a book made about the Eiffel Tower. One side is all about the architecture and the structure of the Eiffel Tower, and on the back side happens to be Carrie's leg holding the Eiffel Tower low, and all you see is her leg and the Eiffel Tower.
Right.
And what they talk about in the book is how inspirational the Eiffel Tower has been for designer and artists forever, not forever, but since the creation of the Eiffel Tower. And that's really, really, really nice.
That sounds incredible to be able to see that and know that, that was, your work, that's, so do you have any upcoming or new releases that you were excited about that that are in your shop or that you have ideas of that you're really excited about?
Well, I think what I'm excited, what I'm doing is I'm now presenting fashion differently. In a
Oh,
sense.
okay.
What I'm doing is, for instance, God, I'm sorry, I'm sorry I shipped it, but I'm making them big and I'm making them statements. And by the way, these bags do double as home furnishing accessory items, so people do leave them out. They leave them out to be their decorative accessories, which is
Right.
nice. And am I excited? I think I'm excited at the perspective of going back, and I used to make bags that when you open them up, the inside lights up. Well, guess what? I'm going to be just moving into making so they open up and shine. I'm going to be doing a lot of new different things. That's why I started mentioning the metals, and wrapping them in metal and doing things. Because I think that there are just so many dimensions that can be worked in.
Right.
And the other thing I'd love to do is I would love to make a huge Eiffel Tower for the fashion district and donate it to them.
Okay.
half in the middle of the road.
I'm picturing that. Absolutely.
Or since
So
I come from Beverly Hills, why not Rodeo Drive?
so I mean it sounds like, as you said, the Eiffel Tower has been very influential in art and fashion and design, and it sounds like it's been very influential in your own life as well.
That's true. That's very true. And fashion it's always been an inspiration for me. And it's been an inspiration, not necessarily because my mother was interested in fashion. She was always interested in dressing my sister and I in, very fashionably. And which I didn't realize at the time when I was having matching bows put in my hair to my dresses. I just thought that was normal. And anyhow, but she didn't care about it for herself. However, my girlfriend's parents, moms did. And so therefore I had inspiration more from my, my mom's friends than necessarily from her in fashion per se. Because she was really a real estate developer.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so the fact, yeah, you wouldn't think that the two would intermix like that, but
Yeah, she'd be better off discussing things with the banker than thinking about fashion. That was not her thing, although she could do absolutely anything in terms of making anything.
That's fantastic, and that's going to lead me. I want to go ahead and jump into this. Usually, I save it for a little bit later, but it kind of leads into a little thing I like to do on every show. It's called the Milo Beasley Show Frequently Asked Questions, and I'm going to ask you the same 5 questions that I ask to every single one of my guests, and that might be something related down the road. So, but the very first question is going to be, what was the very first concert you ever attended?
Oh, God. Probably, I want to say Nate King Cole.
Oh, that's very
And
cool.
I want to say Nat King Cole and Barbara Streisand together.
What?
And it
That's
was at the
incredible.
Hollywood Bowl, and I was obviously, it was a long time ago.
Wow, that is incredible. What's
Nobody would say that one.
yeah, no, yeah, nobody's gonna. I mean, I think you have everybody beat. That's an incredible. What was the last time you went to a concert? Obviously, longer than 2 years ago.
When was the last time I did what?
Went to a concert.
Oh, I would have to say probably about, it would have to have got a long time ago, really, now. But I have danced with the monkeys. And I mean, I've done a lot of dancing. So
Oh yeah.
therefore,
All right.
I have
Question number
attended
2.
a lot of concerts.
A lot. I bet.
And especially like Elvis was part of my time period.
Oh
And
yeah.
then slipping into the Beatles when the Beatles were first discovered in that period of time.
Absolutely.
What was your
Big.
first concert?
My first concert was Eddie Money.
Oh.
Yeah, the 80s singer. Yes.
And that was what year?
Oh gosh. It was
Never mind. You don't have to mention the year. It's all right.
No, it was like early. I mean, it was early 90s, I guess. Early 90s, I think. All right, question number 2. Do you believe in ghosts?
Do I believe in ghosts? Absolutely.
Yes?
I believe that we definitely have another dimension. I believe in the soul. I believe that sometimes it does get stuck between dimensions. Sometimes I tune in on that show where they're trying to photograph the ghosts.
Oh, right.
And
so have you had anything weird happen to you though?
One time I was reading a book on Oh God, I was reading a book basically on different dimensions and about it was called In the Light, Living in the Light. And I was in a hotel room actually in the Philippines. And I really felt this dimension open right in the room.
Oh, wow.
And all I can tell you is I closed the book immediately because I knew that I was not ready for this, that I didn't want to walk through it,
Right.
and that I wasn't ready for it. And to this day, I have not picked up that book. I didn't throw it out. I know where it is.
So you still have it.
But I don't touch it.
You know what? I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I once played a DVD. It was one of those exorcism type movies, and my DVD player broke. Like that was the last movie that DVD player played. So I had to toss out the DVD player, but then I kept the DVD because I didn't want any bad juju coming back to me for throwing that out. So I am with you 100%. I understand why you kept the book, but haven't opened it. I'm with you on that one.
Have you ever been to a seance?
I have not. I have
I
not.
was at one once. And it was very interesting because the man's name is Brian Hurt. And I haven't seen him in years. Anyhow, he asked this girl, he goes, I feel something around you. He goes, I feel something with berries. He goes, I think they're loganberries. She said, that's my great grandfather. He made loganberry jam. I thought that was rather interesting.
Yeah, it always I'm not sure where I stand on that, but I always find that stuff super interesting. All right, question number 3.
I stepped back from it for quite a few years, but I do find it interesting.
Yeah. I feel like there's something there. All right, so we're gonna move on to question number 3. Now here's where I said a little bit of in a movie about your life, who would play your parents?
In a movie about my life, who would play my parents? Oh
Yes.
My gosh.
So a little bit of a mix, a little bit of a twist on the who would play you, but who would play your parents?
God, I've never really thought about that. I thought about writing a book, but I have not. God, I don't. God, I'd have to give that a lot of thought. I don't think I just answer that because the woman who would play my mother would have to be a very powerful woman, and the person who would be my father would have to be somebody who is very calm and who had to sit and was able to portray a sense of humor.
Okay.
So I don't know who that would be yet.
Yeah, I'm trying to think off the top of my head and throw out suggestions, but I can't. But yeah, that's an interesting dynamic.
Oh well, you'll have to call me back again after I think about that.
Yes, we'll swing back to that one later on. All right, question number 4. Who is your favorite person to follow on social media?
I would say Jello.
Okay.
And the reason why I say her, I saw the movie last night, and I really like her. I like her as a person. I like the fact that she's come out of Puerto Rico, from a Puerto Rican heritage. I think and what she's done for herself. And I think that she's not afraid of admitting her mistakes. And I see where she could be extremely loving to her children. And I like the fact that she and Anthony, still maintain a good relationship.
Right.
And I think I just like her. I do. I genuinely like her. Aside from the fact that I like her dance, I like her dancing, period. And I like most of her clothes, not always all of her clothes, but I like 99% of them.
All right. So the movie was called Marry Me, right? Was that all
And
right?
it was interesting, even in the movie, and it came out the fact that she wants truth in a relationship.
Right.
Whereas so many of these people really don't know what the word means, you know.
Agreed.
We both know a lot of people in the business. And the question is, what are they looking for?
So what's your rating system? Is it 2 thumbs up? Is it 5 stars? What is it? Is it 5 bags? What's your rating system on Marry Me?
Well, I haven't really given them 5 stars. It's either yes or no. Do
Okay.
I like them or I don't?
And this was a
Because
yes?
rating, I wouldn't want to be rated because of the fact that people always mistake certain things.
Right.
So I work more in vibrations.
Right. And then something you said leads us directly into our last question of our frequently asked questions. Again, you said you know a lot of people in the industry and the business, but has there been that one time that you had a big fangirl moment where you just couldn't talk to somebody, you got tongue-tied, you got weak in the knees, but you really wanted to meet them?
Actually, yes. But, and that would be, I'll tell you who I really like. I like the guy from Virgin Galactica.
Okay.
Okay. And I would really like to see, this is not Hollywood style though. I'm more mental on things like this. I really like the way he thinks. I like the fact that he's a creator. And the fact that when you think about it, even right now, he's come out with this new cruise ship line, and the way that they're advertising it, it really makes it look like it's fun.
Right.
And then when you think about Virgin Galactica, and I'm not saying that you don't have a lot of these other gigarata guys, but a lot of them have more hidden meanings, where
Right.
I think that as I said, I just really like the way he thinks. I like the fact that he created Virgin Galactica. He took a place in the Mojave Desert about 15 years ago and started and really began his space project. And then he has
Yep.
a place in Australia. I've sold on television in Australia also. So he has a place in Australia that's a great resort to go to. He really has fun with his life. And he also includes his wife in it. And it talks about his mom. So he hasn't lost track of a different reality, the reality of your family. So I like him. He's somebody I would like to meet.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. So, as far as what's coming up next, again, like you said, you're going to a trade show. Do you have do you have a piece that you haven't released yet that is going to be coming out soon?
Well, I can tell you when I will come out with them. I'm going to the Philippines after New York,
Okay.
and it takes me about 3 months to really, from start to finish, on new samples, at least.
Right.
And the factory is really just starting to get moving again. And that's what the Eiffel Tower has really helped it to do also.
Absolutely.
And it's been interesting because my workers, I've had my own factory. And so my workers they've kept in touch with me. And they go, oh, when are you coming back? What are you doing? Da, 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 da. And so I'm going to be very happy to see them, and they'll be happy to see me.
That's great. We'll
start creating things. We'll start thinking about as I said, not only new materials, and I'll do new designs because I'm already in my brain. That's what I'm thinking of now, are all these new designs that I want to come out with.
That's fantastic. What is the most? Do you have a most outlandish bag that you've ever made that you're like, This is going to take a lot of
I
work.
think the most amazing bag was really the bag that I made that when you open it up, the inside lights up. I knew absolutely nothing about it and decided that I would begin to make the bag. And, and so I learned all about switches. I learned all about single pull, double pull switches. I mean, now
Right.
I would totally construct it differently, but at that time, it was way ahead of its time. And I actually backed off from it because, well, I guess because I didn't think the world was ready for it at the time. But now, I mean, now I go into solar this and solar fabrics and fabrics that heat your bodies. You know, that maybe you can even adjust to a certain temperature so you can be walking around in your environment as you want it. I mean, if you can do a virtual reality with glasses, why can't you do a virtual reality with fabric?
Ooh,
So,
that's something.
so
Yeah,
those are the things that I think about.
that's. Oh, I'm interested to see where that goes. Is there another fashion designer that you have not collaborated with that you would like to collaborate with?
Oh, of course. Let's see, who would it be? Well, I think it would be fun. If I work with somebody like Betsy Johnson and I think too much alike. You know, we're very whimsical and things like that.
Right.
I think I'd like to work with somebody who's an engineer. And in terms of designing, it would be nice to work with somebody like an Armani or someone who is really, because Armani, for instance, is excellent at structure. You know, he engineers his jackets. But it would definitely be an engineer, somebody engineering mind.
Right. I agree. I like that. I like that train of thought, and I like, you know, again with somebody with that train of thought, that mindset. You don't know what you can create until you do it, right?
Mm-hmm. You know, you've actually given me a lot of things to think about. Because I should think about who would I really like to work with.
Absolutely. It's all about the collaborate. It's 2022. It's all about the collaborations, right?
Right. I mean, I know that I'd like to do shoes and I'd like to do this and I'd like to do that. And I know that I've turned down a lot of people in the past. But now it's time to not turn them down and to, shall I say, spread my wings differently.
Yes. Yeah. Well, absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good way to look at it.
How long have you been doing your show?
I have been doing my show for almost 8 years. So 7.5 years at this point.
And what's your goal with your show?
My goal
What
is
do you really like?
my goal is to have a talk show, is to have like a Jimmy Kimmel, Jay Leno, Johnny Carson type talk show where I interview guests and then we do segments and then, be able to reach people and tell people's stories. I really want to tell people's stories. I really love listening to people. Again, never met you until tonight. And, now
Yeah,
I
understand that.
can help tell
That's
your
funny.
story.
I thought about having a talk show also, just from the people that I meet, like you. You know, you meet so many people that are interesting, and so many people approach you, and you have a sense of humor, so that's great. When I think about women, by the way, somebody I would like to meet would be Oprah, because Oprah is an achiever, and Oprah has also given back.
Absolutely. For sure.
So she would rate as one of them.
Yes, I would love to I would love to chat with. I mean, you talk about storytelling and all those, the people who stories that she has given out over the years. I would love to sit down and chat with her and pick her brain about. Now she had again. Now she didn't have a late night talk show like a Kimmel or a Fallon or a Johnny Carson, but she had a different type of talk show and told stories. I would love that. I just want to tell people stories, and that's why I do what I do.
And for me, I'm more of an Anthony Bourdain type person. So therefore, you'd have to put me in different places around the world.
Right. Yeah, I would love a travel show too. I love traveling. What's your so besides Paris, because I know Paris again has a special place in your heart, but do you have a favorite place in the world that you like, that you visited and that you would either like to visit again or just really love in your heart is there?
And it's interesting if you could maybe stay in a place for a week instead of just doing it for 24 hours, because you
Right.
would get a different feeling. Of course, there's a little bit too much going on in the world right now. It's in most places. But I'd like to do New Zealand.
Oh, yeah.
I think New Zealand would be very interesting. I've done it I mean, I spent time in a lot of places. I love Bali. But as you said, there are so many good characteristics that these people have. A lot of them understand living in the middle road. Do you know what that is?
No.
Okay, like in Thai people, for instance, instead of having the highs and lows, they understand this middle life, a calmer life. It's
Right.
less hectic.
Right. Less stressful.
It's different.
Hmm.
And anyhow, there's is so much to experience with this. So I should find you somebody that you would love to talk to, like Oprah. Or
Yeah.
who else would you like?
Who else would I like? I mean, uh, somebody, again, a lot of the people who I would like to talk to and pick their brains are people who have done this, the Conan O'Brien, oh my gosh, I would love to sit with Letterman, folks like that who have been there and understand and have been able to get the most out of telling people stories.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're headed in
So
that direction.
I'm trying.
Congratulations.
We'll get there. One day. It's baby. I feel every day is baby steps. But as long as you keep moving, you're moving in the right direction, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now,
And I'll just keep along my little path, and I think I'm going to just have to reach out more and
right.
stop rejecting. It's not necessarily rejecting. I find that, especially in pandemic times, people are afraid. They're afraid. They're afraid to communicate to other people. I see it in men and women where they sit down and they're afraid to look at each other. And I saw something. I had dinner in a restaurant last night, and it said, "Don't be afraid to reach across the table." I like that.
That's a good phrase. Don't be afraid to reach across the table. I'm gonna have to write that one down.
It was a Thai restaurant that I was in. And when I saw it, I just thought, that's so true. To not be afraid. Period.
Right.
Okay. One other question.
So
what kind of animal do you have?
So I'm sorry. What?
Do you have an animal?
I do. I have two animals. I have a dog and I have a cat.
What kind of dog? Okay. I think I'm losing him. Well, I think I lost you, but
I'm here.
No, you're back.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's she's a very fast dog. So if she ever gets out, it's definitely a race that I'm going to lose.
That's great.
Do you have any pets?
I have a standard poodle who is black and white. She's a party poodle. And she comes to work. So therefore she speaks many languages. But the most important part about her is the fact that she's super intelligent from being around people all the time.
Right.
So I would say her vocabulary is at least, it has to be at least 300 words.
That's
And
incredible.
recently I read an article on teaching dogs to paint. There's a way,
Oh,
I picked
teaching
this
dogs
up,
to
by the
paint?
way, on the, on the grocery stand, and it's called A Dog's Mind, Understanding a Dog's Mind. And in there are 3 articles on people who have taught dogs how to paint, and the dogs really enjoy it, and they're selling their work now for thousands of dollars.
I need to teach my dog to paint.
And one of the dogs who's been painting a while actually picks out the colors that he likes.
That's interesting because,
It's very interesting.
yeah, I mean, dogs can't really see color, right? They see sepia tones, right? At least that's the thought.
If you get a chance, pick it up. Or if you
Okay.
can't pick it up, send me a note and I'll definitely get it for you.
Fantastic. I will. You said it was called what? A dog's. What was it?
Yeah. And I would have, well, I'd still like to. I know that my dog should be a working dog. She's meant to be a working dog. And that's why she's so hyper. But I think her job right now would be probably to work at the French Open collecting tennis balls. Something like that.
Right. All right. So before we wrap up, if folks want to follow you on the social medias, they want to follow your your Instagram, or they want to go to your website so that way they can see your current lines. Where can they go?
Well, I'll tell you, my website is timmywoods.com.
There we go. I think we have all the information there at the bottom.
It's going across your screen. Instagram.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, we got it for everyone. So that way everyone, because when you do go, like you said, you're going to New York, and then you're going to the Philippines. So do you like to share your travel adventures on your social medias?
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. So that way we can, maybe if there's a sneak peek at the next designs, it'll be right there on your Instagram.
Definitely. And if you think of something that you'd like me to make, let me know.
Fantastic. Absolutely. So everybody watching, if you have ideas, definitely, send that message. Now you have three stores, right?
Correct. Just,
3 stores.
I have a penthouse apartment that's a showroom.
Oh,
and a lot
okay.
of people like to come up to it and by appointment. And the reason why they like it is because it's private and I have a very nice patio off of it. So they can have their margaritas and have total privacy shopping. It works very nicely.
Right.
And
right.
And we can be open at any hour you like.
Oh yeah, I mean, if it's private shopping,
nobody's going to complain if I'm open at midnight. It's really nice.
This is true. Any last words for folks before we wrap up?
My last word would be enjoy your life and do what you love most always. And one other thing, don't forget to give. Do not forget to give.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me this evening. And thank you all for watching. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, but more importantly, tell your friends. Again, thank you so much for spending the evening with me, and I will definitely be in contact, and I'll talk with you soon.
And I have to tell you something. It was very nice being on your show. And I really liked the fact that you ask different questions than most people do. So again,
Well, thank you so much.
you very, very much also. Have a nice
Thank you.
evening. Bye.
That's what I try to do. I want to get to know you. I want to get to know you. I want to tell your story.
Well, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone. And we will see you next week.